Okay, so doTERRA essential oils. Now, many of you may have used essential oils before. I know I certainly had used essential oils before I'd heard of doTERRA. I'd used often lavender for relaxation. I'd used tea tree for spots. I'd started using orange and peppermint when I was making raw chocolate. I love making chocolate, healthy chocolate. And orange and peppermint go perfectly with chocolate, separately obviously. So I had been using essential oils, and I've been using a good quality one because I'm very particular about what we have in our life. Like, I like to keep toxicity low in our life. So I'd always been using what was a good quality one, and I believed to be the best. Actually, it was organic. Now obviously now I realise the price difference between the two oils. Not just that, but also holding them side by side, I realise now that they weren't anywhere near good quality, having now used doTERRA. And that really was one of the first things that swayed me towards wanting to try doTERRA, was noticing the difference in the smell between the oils that I had been using, which were these great quality oils, versus the doTERRA ones. They really do speak for themselves just by smell alone, let alone all the things that we're going to talk about today. So doTERRA have a mission, and from the beginning they've had this mission, and it was to create the purest, most potent oil that was out there on the market, and bring it to the masses. There are other small boutique companies that create good quality oils. There are some differences, which I'll talk about in a minute, but they have the same ethics, they have the same intent, but they're not getting them out there in the way that doTERRA are. So doTERRA wanted to create an oil that was pure and potent, so safe and actually worked, because these essential oils, they do work on a very high level when we've got a very pure one. So they wanted to create this product that they could bring to us, and that could be used on a mass scale, because it had just been that essential oils were kept in like the closets of the aromatherapists, and the majority of us didn't use them. And if we did, we'd go to Boots and be buying like what is essentially a poor quality oil that might contain things like carrier oils. It might contain other essential oils that smell very similar to the essential oil you think you're getting, but is cheaper to produce. It might contain synthesized substances that are not the oil that you think you're getting, but smell very similar. And it doesn't have to list any of those ingredients on there by law. So, we're getting something that's not pure and that doesn't work. So that's what we've got with doTERRA, something that's pure and that works. So what is an essential oil? An essential oil is the plant's immune system. So if you look under a microscope at a peppermint leaf, as you can see here, or the head of a lavender plant, so the flowers of a lavender plant, you will see in there in the microscope an essential oil sac, and that's what you can see. And it's surrounded by these little spikes. The plant knows it's precious, so it's keeping it safe. And that's what you've got there. You can see that there. And it keeps it safe because it protects it against pathogens, any bacteria or viruses that are coming its way. It protects it from that. Much as our immune system protects us from, becoming ill and essentially dying, so too does the plant's immune system. And this is the essential oil. Now, we're carbon-based like plants. So when we use an essential oil, and there are different ways we can do that, we take on the part of that plant's immunity that, it's got for its benefits. So whether that be its antibacterial properties or its antiviral properties, antifungal, they all have different things that they can provide to us, because they have, each plant has its own sort of different immune system depending on what it needs to protect itself against. So we can get different things from different oils, and that will come across during this call. So that's what an essential oil is, and we extract the oil through some companies through chemical extraction, but not with doTERRA, because there are no chemicals in any part of the process, right from growing to harvesting to distilling, and therefore none in the bottle. But doTERRA extract the oil through steam distillation or cold press extraction, depending on the part of the plant that it's coming from. Because the oil can come from the root, it can come from the leaf, it can come from the flower, it can come from the fruit, it can come from different places. If it's coming from the fruit, often with a citrus plant, for example, it comes from the rind, and that's cold press extracted, and other oils are extracted by steam distillation. Most are extracted by steam distillation. So the oil that we have is very powerful, and it's very safe without side effects when used safely, and I'll talk more about that. So I've touched briefly on why you would choose doTERRA over another brand, but really it does come down to what I've said, the purity and the potency. They ensure that the oils are pure all the way through the cycle, all the way through the production cycle, by making sure that no chemicals are used during the growing process, by making sure that none are used through distillation, by making sure no things are added into the oils afterwards, and then through very extensive testing. And this is really where one of the big differences comes between the more boutique-y companies that do create good quality oils. doTERRA have a lot of money. They came into this business with a lot of money. The founders did, their own personal wealth, and they've never been in debt. They've been very careful with their money, but a lot of their money goes, of course, into research, which is why they can give us these oils and tell us how to use them safely and what to do with them. But also it means that they can test they do 5 tests 3 times, and then they independently have someone independently test them as well, to say, yes, these oils have no contaminants in them. They have, all the chemical properties that they should have, that will come naturally from the plant, and none that come from anything else. So we know we have a very pure oil. And actually, you can look at the bottom of the bottle and find the batch number of an essential oil, doTERRA one, or you can type it in to Sourced for You, which is a website, doTERRA's website, and you can see the gas chromatography test results that have come from that oil. If you know how to read them, you can understand it. So you can see in that there are no impurities, and that the oil is 100% what it says it is, because an oil should have particular chemical constituents in order to genuinely be that oil, and to meet the level that it should. So, they're very, very transparent with how they prove to us that their oils are as pure as they say they are. Now, also, the oils are very potent, which means that they work. And like I say, we could have used lavender before, we could have used tea tree before, and it perhaps not have worked like we expect it to relax us or to help us with spots, or, you were using perhaps another oil. Some people use oregano to help with their gut health, and report that it hasn't helped. I always say to people, if you have tried an essential oil for something, don't dismiss essential oils, dismiss the brand that you were using, and try doTERRA. And, they pretty much always report that it works. And if it doesn't, we try a different oil and it will work, because there are different oils that work for the same thing, and different people's bodies respond in different ways to different oils. So the way that they prove to us that their testing meets the standards that they want them to, because there is no regulatory body for essential oils, they can't go to that regulatory body and be approved as the purest, safest, most potent oil. They would love that, but there isn't a regulatory body, and I don't think there ever will be, because I think if there was a governmentary regulatory body for essential oils, then the government would essentially be telling us, yes, go ahead and use essential oils instead of pharmaceuticals. And that will never happen, because obviously the pharmaceutical industry is big business. Of course, drugs, many of them, originate from plants, but they can't synthesize, they can't patent nature, so they synthesize it, and that's where a drug comes about. So doTERRA have come up with their own standard by which they live by, and this is their certified pure therapeutic grade, and it means that every single drop of oil in a 15 ml bottle, so that's 250 drops, will meet these very high standards that they've set for themselves, and as I said, that are then tested by a third party. So they're pure, they're safe, and they're potent. So where does the potency come in? Where does the potency come from? So I've got a fig tree that is in my garden in a pot, and it was given me to me by an Italian man. Sounds really romantic, but isn't at all, because he was an old man from Loughborough, and he just happened to have a spare little offshoot that he gave to me, which was really kind of him. And it's growing, and it's got leaves on it, and it grows a little bit more each year. But I know some fig trees in this country have fruit. I always look for the ones where I know they are, because I thinking, can I have a really good fruit? I want to go and pick it because I love figs. And I see some little shriveled up ones. My dad's got one in his garden that never gives fruit. They're not in their climate, their natural climate. They don't have their natural soil. They don't have their natural weather cycles. They don't have their natural anything. It's all foreign. And whilst they can grow, they don't thrive. And this, of course, means that the plant isn't going to be strong, so they're not going to have a strong immune system. And in turn, the oil that is extracted from that plant is not going to be potent. Because if the immune system is not strong, then the oil isn't potent. So doTERRA know this, and unlike other quite large essential oil companies, they have taken it upon themselves to build relationships with farmers all around the world, very close relationships too, not just going to them because they know that they grow that and just taking whatever they've got. They foster very strong relationships, often building just relationships where those farmers only work for doTERRA. So it means that they can influence the growing process and make sure that it's completely pure and natural. But it also means that they're sourcing these plants where they originate, and therefore that the oils that they get as a result work. They're potent. They have very strong relationships with these farmers also in terms of what they do for them and the communities that they operate in. They look after them. They pay the farmers even if the crop fail. They're a very, very ethical company. And they build schools in those areas, and they provide clean water. They're a really good company, and that means a lot to me, because I'm quite anti-corporation, so I'm glad to be working for a good company. The length of time that they grow the plants for is very important. So if we take the example of vetiver here, that's from Haiti, most fragrance companies and essential oil companies will grow the plant for 6 months because it gives the desired smell. doTERRA likes a nice smelling oil, but it's not their priority. Their priority is that the oil will work. Vetiver is very powerful for sleep, and doTERRA, it's from the root of the plant. It's a grass plant, and doTERRA found to grow for 18 to 24 months means that the oil is much, much more potent, so that's what they do. They were also told by the artisan growers in that country that if they distill the oil, the plant in a rectangular container as opposed to a cylindrical one, the oil will be stronger. So that's what they do. They go to great lengths to ensure, as I said, the purity, but also the potency. And, that's why, and it's important to them, and it's why it works every time. It's important to them that we get consistent results every bottle that we buy. Every bottle at least meets that CPTG standard or more. So just a little bit about the company again. They work on the principle of co-impact sourcing. So you benefit me by creating these plants for us to create essential oils, and we will make sure that your community thrives as a result too. We don't let, you know, anyone sort of be suffering for our own success, and basically it's like fair trade, isn't it? But more, I think, in the case of doTERRA. I heard something the other day that really resonated with me, and it was that money is a magnifier, and you give money to bad people and they do really bad things with it. And I think, you know, there is a good example there in Donald Trump. You give money to good people and they do good things with it. And it's certainly been my experience of doTERRA. The gentleman there on the left with the funny hat, he's David Sterling. I met him in the summer, and he was just he's actually the CEO, he's the main founder of doTERRA. Such a genuine, nice man, you know, happy to talk to anyone. And he was there with his wife, and she was equally lovely. Emily Wright, who's on the right there, is the only woman on the board. She keeps them all in check, all these men. But she is, you know, really lovely. And I heard a really interesting statistic the other day about doTERRA's founders and its leaders. They've been going now for 9 years, and other, you know, big companies see a huge turnover really in their board members and their staff. And doTERRA's founders have, you know, they've stayed consistent from the very beginning, from the very start. They actually signed a pact at the beginning between them that the company would be protected from themselves. So if anyone tried to do anything untoward, they wouldn't be allowed to get away with it. The company is always protected, and you really get this feeling that they work together for the good. You know, they want to benefit the communities that they operate in, and obviously they want to create something that's doing something really good in the world too. And, you know, I really love that. I really love, you know, being part of that. And I feel like it's, you know, trickles down into everyone who works for them, because certainly everyone I've met that's got anything to do with doTERRA has been very, very lovely. So there are 3 ways that we can use essential oils. First of all, aromatically. So you can do that either in a diffuser, which I've got here, it's not on, but it's cold water, and it sends the compounds into the air with the oil, with it like vapor, and they're suspended in the air, and this, you then breathe them in, which has the benefit of improving your mood, because aromatically the oils are very powerful for our mood management, for our emotions. I'm actually doing a webinar about that on the 28th of this month, going into detail about the emotional benefits of the oils, because there's a whole science about how they interact with your brain and actually affect the chemical changes in your body that help, you know, fight anxiety and depression. So aromatically, they're very powerful in that respect. And you can also wear a diffuser necklace, which I don't have mine on, but there's some very pretty ones out there, and you can just smell that throughout the day to help with your mood, or have it in a tissue, you know, up your sleeve or down your bra that you can smell as you want to. But also aromatically, the oils are powerful because they actually help purify the smells in the air, which is great. But actually they kill, many kill airborne bacteria, and Claire will talk more about that in her section. So topically, we can also use the oils topically. Really important when we do this to dilute the oils almost every time. There are instances where you can put a little bit of neat oil onto a burn, lavender onto a burn, or some of you may have tried orange and peppermint neat on your hands. If the people that have spoken to you about the oils have done that, you know, that is fine from time to time, because these oils are very pure. They haven't got any nasty chemicals in, so it's fine to put it on your skin. There are some that you would never put undiluted on your skin, like oregano, for example, or cinnamon. And you would heavily dilute those, but all oils you would dilute the majority of the time, because you can with time get sensitization, as you can with anything that you put on your skin. So you need to be diluting if you're using on a regular basis. The best place to start using oils is on the bottom of your feet. So topical application on the bottom of your feet. The skin is much harder there, much less likely to sensitize, but also the oils get into your blood very quickly there. And this is a really important point, because regardless of how we're using the oils, whether it be aromatically or topically, or the other way, which I'll talk about in a minute, the oils enter into our bloodstream, and very quickly too, you know, within a matter of seconds or minutes, you know, they're in our bloodstream, and then within 30 minutes to an hour, they're in every cell in our body. So purity is so important, regardless of how you're using it. And there are other essential oil companies out there that are very well known. Neil Jard Remedy, for example, they make some lovely products, but their mission is not to create something that's you know, pure and helping you on the therapeutic level. Their mission is to create something that smells nice, and so they don't test it to the same degree, and they're not doing a lot of the things along the process to ensure this quality. So we must apply diluted. The bottom of our feet is a very safe place to do it, and also a very effective place to do it. But, you know, if needs be, you have a chesty cough, you could put some of the oils directly on your chest, very heavily diluted. For my child, she's 3, I find just 1 drop of Breathe oil, which is an oil that Claire's going to talk about, heavily diluted in carrier oil, is enough for her chest and her back and the bottom of her feet, and she doesn't cough all night after she's had that. So, you know, really, really heavy dilution is not reducing the effectiveness, because, as I said, they are very potent. So the other way that we can use these oils, and this is actually 2 ways, but I've put them together because they both involve your mouth. You can take these oils orally. Really, that's just topical application in your mouth, because you apply it onto the roof of your mouth or under your tongue, or even if you're drinking them in water and gargling with them, which is something you can do. That is topical application in your mouth orally, because they're still getting into your bloodstream, they're hitting your mucous membranes. So you can do it that way for adults only. You know, you would only do that as you need to. It's not often that you would do that. Now, the other way is to take the oils internally. And that basically means that the first place that these oils hit your body is your stomach, which, by the way, is here under your rib cage, not down there under your belly button. Some people don't know that, but it's your small intestines, your gut, which sits below your belly button, and your tummy is your esophagus, goes down and hits your tummy under your left ribs, around that area. So how do you get it there without touching anything else first? Well, the way you do that is in a veggie capsule. So you swallow the capsule, you put the oils in, or doTERRA do some capsules pre-made, put the oils in, and it hits your stomach. Now, this is controversial. Certainly in this country, it is controversial. But it's also very interesting, because in many countries, it's actually very normal practice. So in France, you can go to a pharmacy and be prescribed essential oils in this way. It's not something you would do all the time, but if you're trying to hit your digestive system with some oils, or you know, you're trying to, actually, I heard something the other day which really made sense to me from the training that I've done around the digestive system. And this is the fact that actually when we digest something, our digestive system is the first line of defense for our body. It's very, 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 you know, well set up to protect us. We've got huge amounts of acid in our stomach. We've got lots, you know, a lot of our immune system actually sits in our stomach, in our digestive system. And anything that goes into our digestive system is actually filtered through our liver before it hits our blood. So if we use it topically on our skin, or we're using it aromatically, it's straight into our blood and straight into our cells. When we're internalizing the oil, it has to pass through so many different things before it can get into our blood. It has to hit the acid in our stomach, it has to go round and go through into our liver. There's so many obstacles before it actually enters our bloodstream, that actually, you know, it's in many ways a safer way to use the oils. And I was talking to a GP who uses the oils, and she's actually does the business side of doTERRA the other day. And she was saying to me that actually if she's trying to target something, she won't put it into a capsule because she wants it to actually get there in one piece and, you know, get to the area where it's meant to be. So if she's got a sore throat, she's not going to take a capsule with the oil in. She's going to apply it, dilute it onto her throat so it can actually get to the area of concern. So whilst internalisation is a very controversial issue in this country because aromatherapists are trained it's a big no-no, it's actually, you know, this is quite an unresearched field, aromatherapy and essential oils. It's becoming a much more researched field, but it's quite unresearched. So to date, it's not been something that people have put a lot of time into researching, and so it's been quite a something that people have felt quite fearful of. But doTERRA, you know, are a big company and they have a huge amount of scientists and they put a lot of money into research, and they found that it's a very, very safe way to use the oils as needed from time to time. And, you know, actually the oils in a way become more diluted to do it this way. So there's a little bit about that, but, you know, please, however you're using the oils, if you're taking any medication or anything, you must consult your doctor before you do so. There's a reasonable chance they won't know the answer, but please ask them their advice. For normal people, when you've got the oils, we can share with you the resources to find how to use them and to do so safely and effectively. Very powerful, amazing, magical things. So I've covered most of this. Diluting is in carrier oil, that's in a coconut oil, in almond oil, in avocado oil, whatever you want to use, jojoba oil, any kind of carrier oil that suits your skin. That's how you dilute the oils, not in water. Water just makes them, we know that oil and water don't mix. It does not help dilute them, it just sort of spreads it round in a way. If you, so always dilute with a carrier oil. If you get the oils in your eyes, ears, or nose, it's not safe in those areas. So, you know, there's no like mucus or anything to help dilute it. That's nice, isn't it? And obviously your eyes are very, very sensitive. So keep away from from those areas. If they do end up in those areas, then don't remove with water because it won't remove it. Remove with carrier oil on a cotton pad and just keep applying and it will cool off. It will, you know, it's very unlikely to cause you to need hospitalization or even to go to a doctor, but it will sting. And obviously if it continues, then you would need to go to a doctor. But I've never had or heard of an incident like that unless the whole bottle fell in. Just a splash, just remove with carrier oil. Check for sensitivity in the crease of your elbow, diluted about 1 to 5. 1 to 5 is a good dilution starting point. People used to say 1 to 5, I'd be like, what are you talking about? 1 drop of oil to what is the equivalent of 5 drops of carrier oil. So roughly what 1 drop looks like when it comes out the bottle of essential oil, 5 times that of carrier oil is a good dilution to start with. So check on the crease of your elbow. But the bottom of your feet is also a great place to check for sensitivity, although it might not show as much because the skin is harder, like I said. Citrus oils are photosensitive. Do not go in the sun or on a sunbed 12 hours after use, whether that be topically or internally. They do cause photosensitization. Yes, follow all the instructions on the bottles, although the bottles have now changed slightly in the UK because they've had to meet the UK food standards, which is great, but the food standards are not the same as how you would use them as an alternative medicine. And I say as an alternative, it's not instead of medicine, just to make that clear. And these oils do not cure or heal your body. They help your body to do that for you, just to make that clear as well, meeting the compliance there. The guidelines on the bottles are slightly different from how we might personally use them, but again, we will share that with you. If you've got the oils, you can learn more about that. In fact, you're going to learn more about it in this call. So there's something on safety, very important. They are very potent. They really, truly are. That's why they work. So please use them with caution and, you know, with respect. Just a quick last one from me. The oils are very powerful because of all the reasons that you're going to learn, and I've talked about just now. But one of the very interesting things for me is that antibiotics, you know, we'll prescribe them left, right and centre these days. They can't kill a virus. And the reason they can't do that is because they can't actually penetrate a cell wall. So a bacteria lives outside the cell wall, which is why the antibiotic can come along and destroy it, hopefully, if you haven't become immune to the antibiotics. I say hopefully. Hopefully you don't take them and you can find another way. But so that's what an antibiotic does. An antibiotic can't penetrate the cell wall, so it can't get to a virus which lives within the cell wall. Essential oils can penetrate the cell wall, and that's what you've got going on here. They're getting in there, and there are many oils which are antiviral and can go in and help the body, you know, to destroy the viruses. So that's great. I mean, I feel very, very empowered as a mother, as a human, to have something in my home that can provide me with an alternative before I have to resort to conventional medicine. And I'm not saying that conventional medicine is not a great thing. It's a lifesaver, and wow, are we lucky to live in a world where it exists. But it is still nonetheless massively overused and causes harm to our bodies in the process of overusing it. So it's great to have something that we can turn to for our families and for ourselves to help keep us well. So Claire's going to talk more now about some of the 10 oils that you could get started with.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Rochelle. Okay, so we're starting with lemon. So lemon, as you probably imagine, is a really energizing oil. It's really uplifting. It's a lovely oil to use around the house to detoxify and purify. So lemon's great to make into cleaning sprays or to use to clean. So it cuts through grease is the thing about lemon. So it's brilliant to put on stains on clothes. So if you have a greasy stain, I've done this loads, it's amazing. So if you have a greasy stain and you put some drops of lemon on it, put it straight in the wash, because the lemon, if it stays, it'll leave the stain. And it just cuts through the stain. It's gone when it comes out of the wash. So that's brilliant. It's really energizing, as I said. In terms of emotionally, it's known as the oil of focus. So if you have that kind of cloudy, foggy head, or you need to concentrate or focus or sort of wake yourself up, lemon is a great oil for this. It's a good one for internal use. Some people are sort of a bit freaked out by the idea of maybe having the oils in their food or in a drink, but lemon is a nice one because you can put a drop of lemon in some water, and it's quite a familiar taste and doesn't seem too strange. Lemon, lavender and peppermint, which are the two next ones I'm going to talk about, but together these three oils have a really amazing quality in that when they are combined, they create an antihistamine effect. So if you make up a little roller ball, so we all have these little glass roller ball bottles which you can buy really cheaply, empty ones. You could put some drops of lemon, some drops of lavender, some drops of peppermint, fill it up with a carrier oil, and if you had any kind of allergic reaction going on for yourself or for your family, your kids, that's a really quick way to apply it and deal with the allergy. And this is one of, as Rochelle said in the safety kind of notes, this is a citrus oil, so it's one that you would not, if you took this internally or if you had it on your skin, you'd not be in direct sunlight for 12 hours. Sore throats, it's nice. It's nice with honey if you've got a sore throat. It's an oil I use probably every day. It's a really everyday oil. So yeah, that's lemon. Next, we've got peppermint. So peppermint's kind of in the same category as lemon in that it's very energizing. It's a pick-me-up kind of oil, very refreshing, as you'd imagine. Peppermint I use a lot personally for headaches. I use it, again, I have a roller ball with peppermint, lavender and frankincense, and I just roll it straight on my temples. Also, peppermint is something you would associate quite a lot and you would hear recommended for anything digestive. Very often, if we are any sort of digestive things going on, people would advise you to drink peppermint tea, which is great. But just to give an idea of the incredible potency of the oil and the purity, let me get this right. Is it 27, Rochelle? I'm going to say about the cups of tea.
Yes, it is 27.
I was thinking, is it? Okay, so 1 drop of peppermint oil, doTERRA peppermint oil, is the equivalent to drinking 27 cups of peppermint tea, which would take some drinking. So that just gives you an idea of how powerful it is. And so it's great to put on in a carrier oil on tummies, or to take aromatically if you're feeling sick, motion sickness, things like that. It's a very cooling oil. So for fever, I use it with my boys. If they've got a temperature, I would put peppermint down their spine, diluted. Yeah, great for alertness. As I said, it's a sort of pick me up, wake you up kind of oil. It's a lovely oil. Yeah. That's peppermint. Next is lavender, I believe. Yep. So lavender is the oil that probably we all have been introduced to the most as an essential oil. I would say it's kind of ubiquitous, and we all think, oh, lavender, lovely for relaxing. I know I used it from quite a young age. Although I used it different brands, I was never that blown away by the effects of it. And until I got doTERRA lavender, and I've also found out how versatile it is. It's probably one of the most versatile oils. So, of course, it's very calming and it's great for sleep. Many people find it useful for sleep or for relaxing or dealing with anxiety or settling your mood. But it's also amazing for so many other things. So, skin things it's great for, bites, burns, as Rochelle said, apply to a burn, cuts. Anything on the skin. I've had great success with my little boy who's prone to eczema outbreaks, and I've been using lavender and melaleuca, which I'm going to talk about shortly, diluted down in a carrier oil on his eczema, and it's really consistent use of that. 3 days cleared up a huge patch of eczema on him. So yeah, and emotionally, it's known as the oil of communication. It encourages emotional honesty. So it's something perhaps you would use if you were going into a situation where you needed to talk a lot or have a difficult conversation. It's really versatile. It's a brilliant oil and mixes really well with everything. That's the 3rd oil in our antihistamine trio. So if in doubt, use lavender, as it says. Next, I've got melaleuca. So as I said, this is one I've been using quite recently. Melaleuca, and quite often when I mention it, people say, what was that? So it's known as tea tree more familiarly to us, because it's from the same tree, and also from the tree that Manuka honey comes from. So we know of Manuka honey as really antiseptic, so melaleuca is a really antiseptic oil. It's just one that I always carry with me when out and about, because it's a first aid kind of oil. It's a must-have. It's antiseptic, antifungal. It's great for warts, verrucas, conjunctivitis. I use this for sore throats as well. I'd be quite prone to getting sore throats, so it's a good one to I either apply it diluted on the throat or I might gargle with it. As I say, it's great for kind of skin conditions like eczema or fungal skin infections. And if you have kids, you'll probably think of lice and head lice and nits, and melaleuca is great for that, to treat and to repel as well. So yeah, that's melaleuca. Next is oregano. So oregano, obviously we know, is a herb that you might use in cooking. As an essential oil, it's incredibly powerful. So it's a really strong oil. It's one we talk about respecting the oils. We respect all of the oils, treat them with respect, but very much so for oregano because it's a hot oil. It's one you would never apply neat to the skin. It's something that I would use not as often. It's not an everyday kind of oil. I use it when I need it, and when you do need it, it's so effective. So it's incredibly powerful for infections. Known as nature's antibiotic. This would treat warts and verrucas, candida, athlete's foot, great for gut health as well, immune support. It's a really strong oil, but really, really effective. So yeah, that's oregano. So as well as the single individual oils, doTERRA do a lot of, well, quite a few blends where they blend different oils together for specific purposes. And so we're going to talk about some blends tonight as well. Breathe is one of them, which is brilliant. And as the name suggests, it is the respiratory blend. So I use, again, having young kids, I use this quite a lot because they would be prone to colds or being stuffy and blocked up. So breathe, colds, congestion, sinuses. I had a friend, a school mum, who's been having trouble with sinusitis and sort of congestion, painful congestion, and I made her up a little sample rollerball of Breathe, and only today she made a beeline for me in the playground saying, Breathe, this stuff is amazing, you know, it's cleared it right up. She was in pain, and Breathe has really helped. So yeah, very helpful for people with asthma. It's a calming oil as well. I share it a lot with people. It's really one that you use a lot, and I think especially sort of at winter and certain times of the year. It's also brilliant for snoring, which has been a revelation in this house. So yeah, it's fantastic. I put it on my husband's chest and has really, we've seen it's also great in a diffuser for snoring. So to have by the bed diffusing to give you a quiet night. Yeah, I put it on my little boy's, not for snoring, but I put it on his pajamas, I should say. It's quite nice to apply just on the clothes or on the pillow as well, rather than putting it directly on the skin. So that's Breathe. So Zen Jest, I'm still getting used to the new name. This has recently changed name. It was previously known as Digest Zen, so I think we're all still getting our head around Zen Jest. This is a brilliant blend. As the name would suggest, it's for digestive issues. Again, I use this with my kids. My older boy's quite prone to constipation, so I would apply this onto his tummy and do a circular massage with carrier oil. Circular massage really kind of helps, although as well as helping constipation, it supports with diarrhea. It kind of goes where it needs to go in terms of digestive issues. So indigestion, constipation, diarrhea, bloating, that kind of, and there's so many stomach bugs going around at the moment. There seems to be the whole norovirus thing. General gut health, I mean, this is something that people do take in capsules, and you can use it. I think, Rochelle, you make a hot chocolate or a drink with it, so it's quite nice for that. Yeah, digestion. Oh, my sister had really struggled with heartburn recently, and she had great success. She took that, and I think was perhaps a bit cynical, or not. She's someone who doesn't really use essential oil, so she wasn't expecting it to work for her heartburn, and of course it did. So she's now placed an order for some Zen Jest with me. So yeah, it's a really useful one to have as well. So On Guard is probably my favorite blend, my most used blend, I would say. And this is the protective blend, so it's fantastic immune support. For this, it kills, it's one of the ones Rochelle mentioned, it kills airborne bacteria, so it's amazing to diffuse if there's something going around or you're trying to protect the people in your home or your environment. It supports the immune system, enhances it. It's also something you can use in a cleaning sprayer. You could spray down your surfaces to keep them clean. It's a natural antibacterial resource, really. It's antiviral. It smells lovely as well. It's got a kind of spicy, Christmassy kind of smell, so it is lovely to diffuse. Emotionally, we sort of talk quite a lot about this oil and its protective benefits for our physical health. Emotionally, this is protective as well. So it sort of creates a bit of an emotional force field, I like to call it. So it's keeping you protected. Perhaps if I'm going into a circumstance where I'm feeling a little bit vulnerable, or I'm feeling like I might get a bit drained or take on other people's energy. Sometimes I teach yoga as well. So sometimes if I was doing a workshop or a class where I'm dealing with a lot of other people and maybe dealing with people's issues, I will spritz myself with On Guard just to protect myself as well. So it's a brilliant blend, and you can get doTERRA do all kinds of On Guard products, and it's so popular. You can get, or you can make your own On Guard hand wash. There's On Guard toothpaste, and yeah, it's fantastic. Really great to have for all ages. So Deep Blue, another blend. This is one of the ones you can't take it internally, so it has a different kind of top. It has the childproof cap because it contains, I think it's the wintergreen in it that's the blood thinning effect. So it's not one for internal use, but it's incredibly powerful for any kind of soothing that's needed. It's known as the soothing blend. So it smells a bit like Deep Heat that you know that you can buy in the chemist, but nicer. And of course, it's completely natural. So, but it fulfills the same sort of purpose and many more. But it supports our joints. It's fantastic for arthritis, aches and pains. If you've been exercising and you're sort of feeling aches after working out, it's brilliant. If you are about to exercise, it's also good to put one first. Getting bruises, any kind of injuries, it's soothing as well. My parents, who are in their 70s, have both struggled with kind of arthritis, and my dad has a very bad back and has been struggling and been on a total crazy mix of painkillers for that. And Mum was very into the Deep Blue for arthritis, so then she persuaded Dad to try a little Deep Blue for his back, and he's fully converted and has his own Deep Blue rub. doTERRA also do it in a nice gel, a handy gel Deep Blue rub. So that's it's been a big hit, and I've converted my dad, which is quite impressive. But yeah, it's the soothing blend, really useful. Yeah, Deep Blue. And finally, I'm going to talk about frankincense. And frankincense, it's probably quicker to tell you what it's not good for as opposed to what it is good for, because it's good for everything. It's just the most amazing oil. It's incredibly powerful. It's such a magical oil. I absolutely adore it. It's very, very precious, and it's kind of, if in doubt, you turn to frankincense. It helps with most things. So it's a fantastic immune support. There's lots of information and kind of research being done about frankincense and dementia, seizures as well. It's a really beautiful oil for your skin. So wrinkles and kind of plumping the skin back up, so you can make a really beautiful base oil. My mum uses rose hip oil on her skin, and I've just last time I was around, I just put a couple of drops of frankincense in her oil just to upgrade it to her skin oil, so it feels like really luxurious, beautiful skin oil. I mean, it's wonderful for wounds and scar tissue. If you're trying to diminish the look of scar, massaging frankincense infused carrier oil is a brilliant thing to do. Warts and verrucas, and as it says, it's so calming, it's so balancing, it blends beautifully with everything. It's lovely in the diffuser, it smells gorgeous. It's a very spiritual oil. It's used in so many rituals. It's used in church. It smells of church. It's known emotionally as the oil of truth. And to me, I don't know, it just feels like really precious. I don't use it. It's more expensive than other oils for sure, due to the really complex and labor intensive way that it's harvested. And as such, it's a bit more expensive. So I use it very mindfully when I do use it, but it feels like a lovely ritual and something I do that feels a bit special when you add frankincense to it. So it's a wonderful oil. Again, it's if in doubt, you get your frankincense out. So, and it's, as I say, as it's more expensive, doTERRA do it as part of a kit, which is a great way to get it because it makes it very good value to get it in kits rather than buying it individually.
Okay, great.
Went through that.
You did. Amazing. Yeah, wow. I mean, it's just like the oils do so many things. That it's so hard to cover it all.
Yeah.
You can get a book that will talk to you all the different things, and Claire or Robin, whoever invited you, will support you to use the oils if you get them. So I'm just going to share with you very quickly how you get the oils if you want to. So you can buy the oils at retail. I know very, very few people who've done this because you pay 25% more, but some people do want to do that, and we can send you a link to do that if you want to. Or you can get like the Costco equivalent, so like a wholesale account. And apparently someone went to Costco today and told me that it actually costs exactly the same amount to enroll with doTERRA or Costco. So I thought that was quite interesting because I always use that as the example. I didn't know it's the exact same amount. So it's £24 to enroll, and then you get 25% off the oil. So it's much, much better value for money to do it that way. You literally only have to buy like 2 oils and maybe a diffuser or less to make it worthwhile doing that. However, doTERRA also do offer enrolment for free if you get a kit, so you don't pay the £24. So I'll talk you through briefly how you get those kits. They're not cheap. Be aware, you're genuinely paying, for what you get in life with doTERRA. It's a running joke in my team. For some reason, I sold my futon to buy my first kit, but that is what I did. So here we go. So it's £24, as I said, for the enrolment. It says £28.80 there because that's including VAT and postage and packaging, but that, it reduces down if you buy oils. Now, the first kit that some people go for is the 10 oils that Claire just spoke about in 5ml bottles. So the smaller bottles. And you get the enrolment for free, and you also get a 15ml Slim and Sassy, which is an awful name, a very American name for the metabolic blend. So that's what you get in that kit. And the metabolic blend helps with detox and metabolism and cravings. It's got peppermint in, which helps with cravings. Or you can get the Home Essentials kit. Now, despite it costing a small fortune, this is actually what most people go for because it really is very good value for money. You get 3 times the amount of oil for less than double the price. You don't get 15ml deep blue. You only get that in 5ml. They only make it in 5ml, but you don't use it very often, so that's okay. So the rest of the oils come in 15ml bottles. The expiry date on them is a long, long time. You keep them dark, you keep them cold, and they last a very long time.
Do you have your oils, Rochelle? I can show the difference between the 2 bottles.
Do I have mine?
I have mine here, is what I'm saying. If you want me to do the little,
Go ahead,
so that's the 5ml and that's the 15ml.
You started with the smaller kit, didn't you, Claire? I
started with the smaller kit, but I did get through them quite quickly. Is the only thing.
You wish you'd started with the bigger kit.
Yeah, it's just where I was at the time, I just didn't.
I know that's it. If you want to get started with them and the smaller kit's like a more obviously affordable way to do it, then that's great. Or save the bigger one. I sold my futon and got the bigger one because you get.
I should have thought of that.
Pardon?
I should have thought of that. I should have sold some furniture.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice to clear out the old and bring in the new, especially when it's so beneficial. So I also got the because with that you get the diffuser and you get that for free, and that's normally £40. So you get the frankincense, which is like £60 even at wholesale. You get the diffuser, which is £40, and all the other oils. So you're saving about £80 that way, and the enrolment for free. So it really is the most cost-effective way to get started. The emotional aromatherapy kit is beautiful, truly beautiful, and you can get started with that. It also includes enrolment for free, and you get a diffuser, which is not shown in that picture, for that amount of money. They're 5ml bottles. They're pre-blended to help with the different things, as you can see, encouraging, uplifting, inspiring, renewing, comforting, reassuring. If you're going through a lot of mood management issues, you're suffering from anxiety, depression, stress, it's a good place to get started with the oils. But The oils in the Home Essentials kit, as Claire has spoken about, have many emotional benefits as well. So they have the physical and the emotional, and you know, you can then add to your collection, of course, with the emotion oils. By the way, never have to buy again if you have an account. I know a lot of people worry about that they're under some obligation to buy every month if they have an account. You don't have to ever buy again if you don't want to, although I challenge you not to, because they become a little bit addictive, because they are so beautiful and so, you know, incredible with what they do for us. So that's how it works, and we'll send you those forms. Does anyone have any questions? Leanne, do you have a question? I'm only asking because it looks like you're off mute. I'll stop the recording, say bye to those watching the recording.